So I want to get in here because I am dedicated on going live a minimum of once a week. So this is where I am. And so I'm back and I want to just get into it. I'm a little tired today, y'all, but um, I really wanted to get into why your money fights are destroying your relationship. Um, or why you think money is destroying your relationship. And number one, yes, I am a financial therapist, a clinical mental health therapist, but put all of that aside, I live the experience. And to be honest, a lot of the things that I have realized in my life that I have, um, gotten through, understood how to use coping skills, understood how to value myself, all of those things, I experienced them myself. It's not just as a therapist at this point in my life. I have been through so many things, and I always said to myself, like, why does it seem like I have to go through all the hard things? I know a lot of you probably say that about yourself, but I always say that God always prepares me. Like, a lot of times I feel like I'm the example. And the thing is the information that I may help people with, it may not be, a year after I go through it. It may be 5 years. And then I look back and I say, oh, that's why I had to go through it. So I could, not only utilize my education and that experience, right? My lived career experience, but also my personal experience to help people because it does lend a different lens when you've experienced and you felt what someone else is actually experiencing. So I'm going to give you an example. Um, so for me, when I was married, um, right out the gate, right at the beginning, one of the absolute biggest things that we were dealing with was our finances. And at that point I was in late 20s, early 30s, and we already had 3 children. And the only experience, the only, marriage mentors which most people actually deal with are the ones that were in their household, like how they grew up. And so in my mind, there were a few things. Hey, Bernice. Hey, DJ. Hey, Jimmy. Um, and so the thing about it is, while it's easy to blame your partner, right, for what you all are going through, or to like completely blame yourself and have shame, all of your thoughts around money and your partner and living your life and all of those things come from what you experienced growing up because you don't have any other lens to look through, right? And so for me, what I saw generally was my mother handling the finances, right? And her doing everything she could to make sure that, the lights stayed on, and that we had what we needed and even more, because I know my parents worked very hard to provide a life for me and my brother that they didn't have until until the bottom fell out, because we actually absolutely did lose everything and have to start over and move in with family. But what for me was, I didn't want to repeat the same thing. And I did kind of repeat the same thing. So I think about the way that I was in my marriage regarding money. And the thing is, I wanted to control every single thing when it came to the finances. And that's because of my experience of carrying weight that wasn't even mine as a teenager and us losing everything. So I think subconsciously what I thought was, if I can control the finances, if I can make sure that everything gets paid, if I can watch all the money coming in, if I can control the spending, if I can, then we will be solid and nothing is going to happen. And as a matter of fact, I'll not only do that, I'll hold everything in and I won't tell my spouse what's going on because somehow I completely felt like it was my responsibility to handle and to hold everything because I needed to make sure that everything was just perfect. Now, on his end, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Snort. I appreciate that. But then on his end, he was, and I don't mean this in the literal sense, but I feel like he was scared of me. And when I say scared of me, because in his mind, right, he felt like he wasn't the best one to handle the finances or navigate the bills and things like that. So I made that, that was my thing to do. But at the same time, I also attempted to control him in it. So he would secretly purchase things. But what's funny when you think about it is he was secretly purchasing things out of accounts that I could see. And at the time, it felt like such a betrayal because it's like, why wouldn't you just come to me about what you were spending or what you were doing? And he really didn't have an answer. But when I really dissected all of that trauma that we were dealing with individually and collectively, I understood why he didn't feel comfortable coming to me and talking about how he felt about our finances. Number one, he felt like he wasn't, I would just say, educated enough for the finances because he never, of course he could handle his personal, but when it came to handling a whole entire family, a spouse, kids, a household, that was way out of his depth. But then the next thing was he felt like it was his fault if he spent something and he wasn't supposed to. And then as a man, it probably felt weird to be asking for permission to do something. And so many times what I see couples do is either they decide not to mix their finances at all, but without mixing their finances, they're also not talking about it, which is weird because if you live in the same household, if you have kids or you don't have kids, and you are, essentially doing things together, you're building together, and neither one of you know what's going on in the other's accounts. You have jobs, careers, you're making money, but you're not sharing and talking about the thing. If you think about it, like, that's insane because the whole reason to partner with someone is to build, is to grow. And so the agonizing pain of having to hold all of that in, feeling like you're trapped, blaming your partner, being angry, being silent, having fights, all of the struggles. And like I said, whether you feel like you have enough money or you don't have enough money, it doesn't matter. People on different spectrums still go through this same thing. People fight and argue about money all the time. It's so funny today. I looked like on, the news pops up on your computer. And it was so interesting that I saw two different men, celebrity men that passed away, and two families are fighting the man's spouse concerning their estate and money. And I found that so interesting because money and relationships are so important, but we don't talk about it. And even within the context of marriage and setting things up for ourselves, if something happens, a lot of people, we don't set these things up to make things easier for ourselves. If something happens to you and your spouse has to give the will, or whatever the case is. Things aren't usually set up properly because we don't want to think about that. We don't want to talk about those things with our spouses. We don't want to talk about those things, period. But the fact of the matter, the one thing that I know that happens to every single person is that we all have a date where we're going to leave this earth in the physical, right? But we don't want to talk about it, but it's inevitable. And the struggles with the money fights are so deep and so agonizing. People don't understand that it can literally feel like betrayal when you have a partner that is not talking to you about the finances and what's going on, or a partner that is keeping things away from you. They're spending, they're doing all of these things. So, going back to my story, I used to feel so much betrayal. Like, I used to feel like my ex-husband was just like doing the worst thing, because I could not understand for the life of me why he would, quote unquote, go behind my back and spend. What I'm saying is, yes, that was a problem that he was doing that, but then there was also an issue with me, because why would my partner feel like they had to go around my back and do that? So, the one thing is, how we grew up and how we think about money is so important with how we actually are handling money in our relationships. Because if we are looking at money as evil, if we're thinking in a lack mindset that there's never enough, if we're always worried and concerned about just how we're going to pay this, how we're going to take care of the kids, how are we going to buy food, if those things are always your concern, then how are you ever going to meet your partner somewhere where you guys can really discuss it? People carry so much shame about what has happened to them in the past that when they get to the present moment, they cannot release it. So they continue to carry things that happened to them as children that are not even theirs. So you carry all of that financial trauma into your relationship, into your marriage. And people, they build lives. They can have, like I said, lots of money, but that doesn't mean the mindset around what happened, it doesn't really go away. And if you've never had an example of a marriage, of a couple that has really decided to talk in a quote unquote healthy way, to have meetings around money, to really look at their finances, to discuss how they want to build, to not feel like everything is chaotic, to all of that, then you're just going to repeat the same cycle. It's already hard enough as an individual to navigate finances sometimes. So then you compound that with needing to come into agreement and talk to another person, and then compound that if you have people that you have to take care of other than yourselves, i.e., your kids or your family or whoever. It is stressful. It is sometimes, it could be debilitating. You carry so much shame around it because you think you did something wrong by spending money when you guys needed to purchase something else. And nobody should have to live like that, but there are millions of people that are living like that. And the thing is, people talk about adultery and cheating and all of these things that happen in marriage, but the top 5 reasons why people divorce or break up is because of their finances and their relationship with money. And so if we don't really start coming into agreement, it's just going to happen more and more, because the way that I look at it, I'm looking at the world outside of me. People are really, really struggling every single day with money, and it's not getting any better. We work very, very hard. We work 9 to 5. If you don't have any additional streams of income that you created through a business or through some other opportunity, investments and things like that, and you are depending on that paycheck every day, then it is going to be heartbreaking for you to navigate in a relationship with your partner, but you still feel alone. You still feel alone in your finances because you all can't talk. Hey, Frank Lie. Are you, let me ask you something. Are you in a relationship, if you don't mind talking or asking questions, are you in a relationship where you all are living together and you are sharing your finances? And so I am really, as a financial therapist, like I said, because that was my lived experience and because I know so many people are struggling, it is so important for me to help people with this. Has it been easy, or do you have like a roadmap for you and your partner where you guys discuss finances? Or has it been a difficult situation with you guys in finances? One of the first things that I tell couples when I start talking to them, and trust me, a lot of times they come in, they're so angry. Yeah, it is hard. It's definitely hard. They come in so angry at each other. And what's interesting that I find is many times one partner is way more angry than the other, right? Because we have different, what I call attachment styles when it comes to money and how we view money and how we see it, right? You have people that have like a anxious attachment style to money. They're looking at every single dime that is being spent. They're worried all the time that there's not enough. And then you may have somebody on the other side of the spectrum that is, more laid back, more reserved. They spend money, they feel like money is going to come to them. So when you have those two types of styles and the way that they look at money, it can cause a complete collision. And tell me, what do you think, Franklin, is like one of the hardest things in your relationship when it comes to the finances? And so, what I ask the couples to do when they come in, no matter how angry they are, the first thing that we just kind of do is dismantle from it being about them and their relationship, but really ask them to look at themselves at the individual and the way that they see money. So we always go back because we have to, because that is where the mindset and the seed was planted when we think about money and the relationship with money. And the first thing that I ask them to do is write down their earliest memories of what kind of like how they felt about money, right? Whether that was, things that was said to them, like, maybe they had someone tell them like money was the root of all evil, or money doesn't grow on trees, or only rich people have money, or, all of those things, like their thoughts around money, their perceptions. Did they see their parents struggle really, really bad? Did they have parents that they felt like just spent frivolously? Did they see their parents completely argue? Was everybody shut down? What was going on in the home that caused them to feel the way they do about money? Yes, finding work and finding a job. Yep, it is not easy. And I went through that, right, with my spouse. There was times when I wasn't working. I was home with the kids. I was trying to go through school. There were times that he wasn't working, and it was times where we had one income, and it was like, how do we? But even through those times that were not easy with money at all, where we just literally baseline wanting to just keep the lights on, we still weren't talking. We still weren't talking completely about the finances. Yeah, we might say, "Oh, how much money do you have to put gas in the car?" This is how much money we have to buy food, but we didn't actually get together and really talk about what actually was going on and how I felt and how he felt. Of course, neither of us felt good with the situation, but we weren't talking about what not feeling good meant. And the fact that I felt like I had to figure everything out, and him kind of like, well, let me just let her figure everything out because I don't really know anything to really help anyway, because I don't have, I've never had to have a family and do these things, and I didn't either. But again, I'm looking at it from the view of how I grew up and watching my mother do everything. There are many people and so much pain in their relationships when it comes to money. I remember just crying, 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 like in agony, right? Number one, because I'm thinking about the past struggle. I'm thinking about what my parents went through, losing everything, how to start over, foreclosure, bankruptcy, just all the things, repossession, like all the things that we went through, having to move to another state and move in family and share a room at 17 with my aunt, you know, those things. And so my thought process was always like, I don't want that to happen to me again. I don't want that to happen to me again. So I was so hardcore that I put all of the weight, like it was just my responsibility to take care of us, instead of sharing the responsibility and talking to him about what was really the fears, the anxiety, the freezing, the anger that I felt, because I felt like I was in a situation that I could not control. And where I am in my life, and just on a holistic view, as a mission to help people when it comes to their relationship with money, is wanting people to feel free, because it is not about the money. Whether you can really see it or not, it's about our worthiness. It's about how we really see ourselves. It's really about, do you think that you can hold the things that you want? Do you think you're worthy enough? Can you really put yourself out there in a way to get the things that you want? And I'm not talking about by manipulation or doing anything wrong or shady, but I'm talking about leveling up in a way that you know that you deserve more. And that is in the health of your relationship, that is in the love that you have in yourself, that is in other relationships in your life. But the first person that you need to face in the mirror, that you have to face in the mirror, is you. And it is not easy. And for me, I had to take the hardest and the longest look at myself and say, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to make things better? And it took years for me to be real with myself and to not constantly live in that chaotic state when it came to my marriage and money. I do say that things did get better in terms of our finances, but the behaviors didn't all subside. Even going through that, and the transition and the transformation of working and kind of coming up together and building, it did not lend us to change our relationship with money. I thank God for that, because it put us in a different place financially, but a lot of the behaviors were still the same. We still had money fights, even though we had more money. So that's why I say having less money, having more money, it doesn't change the perspective of the behavior in the relationship and the relationship with you and that person. I am hosting a webinar, a masterclass this Sunday. I haven't decided on the time yet. And I am going to charge $27, because the reason why I'm going to charge, I would love to do it for free, but I charge because I feel like sometimes when people pay, they pay attention. And I want to be able to give people the things, the tools, the coping skills, the things to do that I didn't have. So, oh, it's a gnat flying around me. It loves the lights. So if you want that link, in the comment section. I'm going to post it also in the description once this video comes out. But in the immediate, if that is something that you're interested in, I want you to just put the word now in the comments and I will send you the link to sign up. Again, it's $27, but it is going to be packed with information. And hi, let's see, Jimmy. Oh, Nadia. Thank you. Thank you so much. Should I hide you in my heart? I don't know what that means, Nadia, but thank you for calling me beautiful. I really appreciate it. But I'm going to host this because I feel like it's important. I will say I expect more women to definitely be in there. It is open to men. But I know that a lot of times as women, we carry so much in our relationships, and especially when it comes to the finances. My goal is to make things easier for you so you feel more free in your partnerships, in yourself, understanding why you are going through the things that you're going through in your relationship with money, your relationship with your partner. And I want to really be able to help you navigate these things. So, $27 on Sunday. I have not decided the time. But once you sign up with the link that I send you, it will be a time on there. And if you sign up with the link and you're not able to join, you will also get a replay of the webinar as well. So don't worry. I'd still want you to sign up, even if you are not able to make it. And I literally just decided to do this like as I came on live. So I have to create the link. And I think that I'm just going to throw it out there. I think the time that I'm going to do it is probably around 3 o'clock on Sunday. But just sign up. It will be worth the $27, because if you are feeling pain, if you are feeling anguish, if you are feeling anxiety, if you have shut down with your partner, if you and your partner are constantly fighting, if you cannot take it anymore, then you need to come to this webinar. If you feel like you guys are on the verge and this may be your last hurrah and you're like on the brink of breaking up, come to this webinar. I am not telling you that coming to the webinar is going to save the whole thing, but I promise you that coming to the webinar and listening to what I have to tell you and how to help you and use these tools to be more successful in your relationship, at least it will get your brain and your mindset thinking in a different way and redirecting that maybe there is more than just letting go. And so just do it. Like I said, um, I I really, I really hope that and I don't even mean to say hope. I know that what you are experiencing, while it may feel like it's permanent, it is completely temporary. And I think that we put so much blame on ourselves, and the blame turns into shame, and the shame turns into anxiety, and the anxiety turns into depression. And then we are lost in our identity of who we are because we feel like we don't know who we are. And if that is you, like I said, I really encourage you to come to this webinar on Sunday. I appreciate you coming into this live. Thank you so much, Franklai, for tuning in and sharing that information. I would love for you, I appreciate you showing up to my live again, and I would love for you to come to the webinar. I would love to meet you on Zoom. And if you are willing to talk about what it is that you're experiencing, and we can really delve in real time. Because look, our time here is short, and it is it is too short to live in fear and shame and anguish, and it's already enough going on. It is time for us to find our joy and our happiness, and to live in the present, and to release all of those things in the past that we felt like held us back, and to release the fact that we feel like there's never enough and we're struggling with money and all of these things. So thank you for tuning in. As I always tell you, you are your greatest value. You are your greatest asset. Take care and comment the word now so that you can come to the live webinar on Sunday, and I will send you guys the link. Comment now in the comments, and I will send you the link shortly, and I will also put it in my description. Have a great night, everybody.